What's up guys, Erroneous here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. More information coming out on the Grim Forest. I'm going to be hopping into that in today's video. Let's get it. First, before I get into the Grim Forest, leave a like on the video, drop a like right now, would really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notification bell so you don't miss another upload. Let's get right into this Grim Forest stuff. I haven't even read it yet, so I am going to know just as much as you based on this. Okay, I again have not even looked at this deck, the slide deck yet. So let's get right into it. Hopefully something insane comes from this. I am super excited for this new PvE content. Grim Forest is going to have relics and new gear, it seems. So let's see what we've got. Brand new gear from the Grim Forest only, so you're gonna want to make sure you go for this. Let me hide myself for a second here so you can see it. New artifact set called Mercurial will be introduced with the release of the Grim Forest. The set bonus: 1 piece 20 res, 2 piece 15% HP, 3 piece 8% speed. I think this should be 11% to keep it consistent, or 10% to keep it consistent with other sets in the game. That's just me personally, but let's see if it's extremely powerful, and that's why they wanted to dumb down the speed a bit. 4 pieces grants the wearer a one total guard stack at the start of the round. Guard stack, okay, interesting. Don't know what that is yet. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and any associated effects. Holy busted ability. Oh my god, this is the new meta. Hands down, this right here, this set is disgusting, y'all. You guys have to get this set. This is insane. 5 pieces, 12% speed. Then 6 pieces grants the wearer 2 total guard stacks at the start of the round. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and any associated effects, which means anything. It blocks, I assume, everything, which means I assume it's like chronophage if the effects are, you know, similar to that of the chronophage set, which would make that literally non-existent, you know, null and void as a set. I would hope that this wouldn't just completely knock out chronophage if that's the case, because incoming damage and any associated effects, which means that if you're doing an active ability, so like Fabian, if he does damage on his AoE, so that AoE that does damage also increases the cooldown of your champion skills, so that would be an associated effect, right? So this would go against Fabian. Now against Crixia, the mythical, it blocks all incoming damage and associated effects. So Crixia, I assume the way I'm reading it is Crixia could still lock you out because it's not a damage ability. Well, actually it is a damage ability. Crixia's AoE is a damage ability as well. So this, I don't know. This, if I'm reading this correctly, this could be an absolutely busted set. I would need more info from the CC chat to see more on this set, but it feels like it's going to be an absolutely disgusting set. Plus 20 res, plus 12% speed, grants the wearer 3 total guard stacks at the start of the round with 9 pieces. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and associated effects. Also places a total guard stack at the start of this champ's turn if they have no total guard stacks. Wow. And that's no cooldown? So if you have a 9 piece, it's really insane. Holy crap. This could be the best set in the game potentially for a support champion. It's actually insane. It's basically the equivalent of a stone skin set. I think this might be, I mean, the way I'm reading it, it sounds like it's too broken. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and any associated effects. Yeah, I'll need to talk to them in the chat on this one. I will need to talk to them in chat, CC chat, because that's crazy. Okay, I just got information from the CC chat. With this new guard ability, you cannot remove it. You can't remove it like a buff. That's busted. So it said, somebody asked a question, can you remove the guard stacks with a buff removal skill? No, you cannot strip it. That's crazy. That is crazy. You can't steal it either. You cannot steal it. I'm just reading this from the chat right now. Still crazy. That's disgusting. Okay, this looks super busted. I'm going to ask a question myself. My question, does it block an ability that has cooldown increasing effect, such as Fabian and Crixia, since they do damage? Okay, so that question is going to go into the ether, hopefully not, but it's definitely going to get answered. The managers usually do an amazing job at answering people's questions. So that's my question for it. Let me know your thoughts and questions. I will ask in the CC chat. Leave it in the thoughts in the comments down below so I can go and ask in the chat. So Grim Forest artifact set, total guard buff. The total guard, okay, this might actually answer it for me now that I haven't read this yet, so that's why I put the question in. The total guard buff will block any single instance of damage and all status effects a champion receives from an enemy skill. A champion can receive multiple stacks of the total guard buff. Each total guard stack will block a single instance of damage from any enemy champion's skill. It will also block any associated effects such as debuffs, including guaranteed and unresistible debuffs, destroy max HP effects, equalize effects, swap HP effects, debuff spread effects, or decrease or equalize term meter effects, instant activation of poison, or HP debuff burn debuffs. Holy crap, this is the new meta. This is the new meta. God is God tier. It's God tier. It's absolute God tier. Because the meta is poisons and HP burns with Sulfurion. So having this on your you're going to need to be farming this. You need to farm. Calling it out right now. You need to farm. Need to farm. Note to everybody. Note to everybody playing Raid Shadow Legend. You need to farm in the Grim Forest. You have to. The best content will be the Grim Forest for PvP going forward as of right now. Just reading this slide. Polymorph debuffs as well. Discuss. Goodbye, Armands. Goodbye, Armands. This is also extremely powerful, I would assume, against the wand. So I want to see if it works against the wand. I'm not 100% sure on that, so it's another question. Also, does it work against the relic wand? That's another good question that I want to ask. Now, let's keep reading this. Now it says, as long as a champion has at least one total guard stack, they will be immune to all negative effects except increased cooldown. Okay, so I didn't read that. I sent the message, too soon. Even from skills that do not inflict damage. So it says they will be immune to all negative effects except increased cooldown. So increased cooldown champions will be the meta again, or at least partially meta. So a champion will lose a stack of total guard whenever they would take damage from another champion buff skill. This includes damage taken via ally protection buffs, reflect damage buffs, as well as passive skills that share or reflect damage. A champion will not lose a stack of total guard when they take damage from masteries, blessings, or relics. Huh. Interesting. Okay, and then if a champion is under both total guard and block damage, when they receive damage from an enemy's champion skill, they will lose a stack of total guard. If a champion takes damage that is reduced to 0 by another champion's passive skill, they will lose a stack of total guard. All bosses will ignore total guard. Okay, so obviously against bosses, it's not going to work, but at least in PvP, this will be one of the strongest sets in the entire game, since it can't be removable. Okay, so it can't be having its, I assume, buff decreased, from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1. So that means Marius, this would drop Marius out of the meta technically. Yeah. That would be interesting. Will Marius come out of the meta now? Decreases duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn and he has 3 hits. That's another question. Does it work against decrease buff duration? Well, technically, Marius would probably be the best one against people with that because it's a triple hit. And so Marius still will be very strong because since he's going to triple hit the enemies, it's going to remove. So even if you have 3 total stacks, you just use Marius still. Marius will probably be one of the better ones to go up against. And mythical like Gizmak's going to be good. Basically, champions that have triple hitter AoEs, double hitter AoEs, quad hit abilities on the single target. You want to go with champions that have as many hits as possible for PvP. If somebody has this new Mercurial set on their champions. Now, of course, a lot of players aren't going to get a full set in the first month, I would assume. But maybe if it's similar to Curse City where you can farm it consistently, maybe after a couple of months, you're going to get really good 9-piece sets as you're farming the harder stages. Very, very strong though. I still have a lot of questions. I know you guys are going to have questions, but let me know in the comments down below. So new relics into the game. These are rare relics. We've got the Steel-Eyed Cutter. Wearer has a 20% chance of ignoring 5% of the enemy's defense when attacking. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a very, very budget version of the Cat's Gaze, right? Very, very budget version. Because Cat's Gaze is 25% ignore defense. This is 5%. Now, the effect chance can boost up to 20, 30, 40, 50% chance to ignore 5%. Not super strong, but obviously for early game progression, mid game progression, it's gonna put in some work. I still really, really like the Malefic Talon personally, because Malefic Talon is just flat out up to 40 crit damage, which is really, really powerful. Whereas this is 50% chance to ignore 5% defense, and there's no cooldown. And then this other one here, we've got the Hoarder's Cauldron, and this one has a 20% chance to ignore 10% of the target's resistance when applying debuffs. And this chance boosts up to 20, 30, 40, and 50% as well. If you're having troubles early game, mid game, in some later game content, then of course having the Hoarder's Cauldron would be not so bad. Also very strong in PvP, early, mid game, some late game. And if you're having troubles in like really end game, you could put this on as a budget version to help, you know, your champions land debuffs, but it's not going to be the one that you want to keep on every champion for sure. Moving on to the epic relics, we've got Compass of Anaxia. Looks really cool. The Grim Forest tier group. Whenever the wearer is under a crowd control debuff, all turn meter fill effects increase the wearer's turn meter by an additional 20%. Wow. So you can actually book this out to 30, 40, 50, 100% turn meter increase. So it would essentially remove their CC and then almost grant an extra turn, or grants a turn. So this is a very strong relic in my opinion. I think it's very strong. Of course, if you don't have many legendary relics, this could turn a tide of a battle. That's what I think, especially for PvE. You're getting if you don't have someone on your team that has high res or block debuffs buff, then you put this on for hard faction wars. This is going to be very strong. So like I said, I talked about this stuff with Ash on his channel. I talked about this with Ash. I said, hey, they're probably going to have relics and a bunch of things that can improve your account that's going to help you in other content like hard mode faction wars. It's going to cycle back into being able to complete the new Grim Forest because you're going to get better champions like that mythical once you beat hard faction wars, right? And then of course you're going to get the relics and the gear from Grim Forest to cycle back into the Grim Forest and complete further stages. Very, very nice. Now, the next one is the Revolting Seedling. The Revolting Seedling right behind me, whenever the wearer's damage or the wearer receives damage, has a 20% chance to heal themselves by 20% of the damage received. This is very strong as well. Now, the effect chance can book out to 40, 50, 20, 30, 40, 50% chance to heal themselves by 20% of the damage received. Actually, it's not a massive heal. It's decent, but it's not a massive heal. I think that between this one and the other one there, I forget what it's called. I think it's the Golden Elixir. Yeah, Golden Elixir. They're both strong. I don't know. It would be hard to tell. I think with the Golden Elixir, once you get to 50%, it heals up. Wearer is instantly healed by 10%. I'm reading it now. When their HP drops below 50%. So that's what the Golden Elixir does. Wearer is instantly healed by 10% when their HP drops below 50%. And then if you book it out, then it can get up to a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20% heal if they drop below 50%, which means this can happen multiple times. You just stay above 50% and then heal your champion up again. It's like never ending healing. So I do like the Golden Elixir a little bit better than this one, but this one can come in handy in PvE as well. Just another form of survivability. So I do like it. Then we got the Soulmar Crystal, which is a legendary once per round. Wearer has a 50% chance of activating an instant turn effect when one or more ally is killed. Crazy. That's crazy. Instant turn? Oh my god, that's busted. This book's out to 100% chance for an instant turn. PvP, this is goated. Everywhere in the game, this is goated. So strong, so strong. Okay, then we've got the Spore Burst Rod. The Spore Burst Rod, whenever the wearer places a poison or bomb debuff, 10% chance of placing a second debuff for 2 turns, only counts debuffs placed by active skills. This is crazy for bombers. All bombers get a boost. And for PvE, this is going to be the strongest. This is going to be the strongest for PvE, especially for Nishak, Gaius. You've got all your old bombers. You got Kraz, who just came out. This helps Kraz, right? You could put tons of bombs on the waves now. A crazy amount of bombs and just instantly wipe them or come close to it. Very, very strong. Is it better than Arachnelixir for PvP? Depends, because you would actually need to have, in testing, it could be in theory potentially on par or close to on par. I think Arachnelixir still takes the cake just because it is so damn powerful. The wearer's poison debuffs deal a bonus damage equal to 50% of their attack. So Arachnelixir is very, very strong. However, I think that if you just have lethal dose at a 5-star and then you throw on the Spore Burst, you know, it's very strong too, like Arachnelixir. They're both pretty much comparable. Because if you were to, because it says 10% chance of placing a second debuff for 2 turns whenever the wearer places poison debuff, and I assume it's not if someone places 4 poisons like a Calvalax, then it's going to place another 4 poisons. I'm reading it in a sense where it's going to place just 1 more poison, which does kind of stink, I'll be honest. So it's literally just 1 more poison. So that's not crazy. But if it does end up being the opposite, where it's adds a poison for each debuff, like each bomb, it adds two bombs, or if Nishak places 2 bombs, or Calvalax, it adds 4 poison. If Calvalax adds 4 poison, then it's going to be busted. Super strong, even more powerful than potentially than the Arachnelixir, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, Coronet of the Gloom. This is now moving on to mythicals. When all the wearer's allies are dead, places a block damage on the wearer for 1 turn and has a 10% chance of placing this buff when a single ally dies. That's very powerful as well. Block damage has become super annoying, I'll be completely honest. And you kind of need champs that have been power creeping up a little bit or coming back into the meta, but a niche bit. Baron, as well as Mezimel, who swaps into her second form and can hit through block damage. So Mezimel might start to creep up a little bit and be useful. Like, she's been useful for me against Odin as well as Neve. So this does book out to a 10%, 20, 35% chance of placing a buff when a single ally dies. Nice. And then the last one here, we've got Lens of Intangibility. The wearer's ignore defense. Wearer ignores 10% of the target's defense. At the start of a round, places a perfect veil on the wearer for 2 turns. While under a veil or a perfect veil, the wearer ignores an additional 5%. So up to a 15% ignore defense. But of course, if you book it out, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15%. So in total, this will be better than Cat's Gaze potentially. So 15% if you max it out. So 10%, that's 25% automatically if it's maxed, if the relic is maxed. And then under a veil or perfect veil, another 5%. So it'll be 30% ignore defense as opposed to 25% that you get from a Cat's Gaze. So the Lens of Intangibility could end up coming in and being one of the best mythical relics in the game for PvP. If we take a look at the Cat's Gaze, where is it at? Here it is. The wearer ignores 10% of the target's defense when attacking. Okay, I thought it was 25%. I apologize. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You can only ignore up to 20% of the target's defense on a Cat's Gaze. I apologize. I thought it was 25% if you max it out, but you don't. But you do also get crit damage. Whereas the Lens, we're not sure what we're going to get for additional stats here. I assume it's going to be similar to the Cat's Gaze, but the stats are going to be boosted even further. So the Lens of Intangibility is a boosted Cat's Gaze relic. So this is one that I'm going to want, anybody's going to want on their account for sure. Now, there you have it. That's everything, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Are you interested now in pushing for the Grim Forest now that we see all the new relics and the new insane gear that's in the game? Let me know. Again, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on your way out, and I'll see you on a video soon. Take care.